Hi everyone, happy Workers' Day. It's such an exciting time of the year in 2023 where a lot has been done in terms of us building organizations and institutions where our workers feel safe. A long time ago, there was a time where there were no rights for workers. It was just a whole market where you as an organization could just set up business and look for employees. Now we've got labor laws, we've got different types of laws that govern how we handle our employees. And welcome to our series on human resource management. This series is going to cover the A to Z of human resources, from the recruitment, the screening, the induction, the retention, and also the dismissal or the leaving of an employee. My name is Rurimbo Shewe. I am the founder of Tavetose, a management consulting company that is specializing in organizational process engineering, strategy, as well as your business development. Today is the start of a new dawning. As management consultant, we get a lot. And when I mean a lot, it's a lot of calls of entrepreneurs and business people coming to us and saying, hey, we have such and such a problem. In most cases, when we are engaged by our clients, the initial engagement is mainly to solve a problem. Problems stem from different things. For example, things like we are not making sales, or we have a situation where we're losing customers. In some cases, there is clarity where the entrepreneur has a clear understanding that they have a human resource issue within their business. Now, this series is going to unpack a lot of issues, and if you're an entrepreneur, it will be great because we're going to be unpacking, giving you tools, techniques, and also solutions that you can immediately apply to your business so that you start to run your organization in an effective way. Now, let me start by saying, one of the most important resource in your organization, beyond the service or the product and the services that you're going to be offering the market, is your human resources. Those are your team members, the employees that you have hired to be able to ensure that you're able to parcel out the services, the tools, as well as the products that you want to bring to the market. These human resources are the face of your business. And as an entrepreneur, nobody else is responsible for building the organizational culture than yourself. You are the leader. You are the one that sets the tone and the pace of how your human resources are going to function. Now, as consultants, we always get called in, like I said earlier on, whereby we have our clients indicating that they have a problem. And I always say to my clients, what you see is not the problem. What you are seeing is the manifestation. That's the fruit of the problem. But the real cause of the problem needs to be investigated. We've had solutions. We've had clients that have come in and said, look, we need sales. We do not have sales in our organizations. Only for us to go into your business and to assess the resources that you have on your team. And in some cases, we've identified that the so-called resource that is heading a department that is responsible for bringing in sales has no personality, is not even a resource that's qualified, or even though they have the marketing degree, their personality does not afford them they are incapable of being able to draw in the sales. I always tell my clients this, and this is what I want you to know as an entrepreneur. In order for you to make business, you need to understand one thing. Human resources, human individuals are good at certain things. There are certain attributes and characteristics that suit a great sales resource, certain attributes that suit a great finance resource, certain attributes that fit a customer care resource. Now, if you put a resource that is timid, incapable of seeing things through in front of a sales team, you will get a situation where your organization will struggle to make sales. So every single time we get in, like I said to you, we are a generalist. And as a generalist company, we go into your organization and we do a complete diagnosis. So we never give a solution to our customer without fully taking the organization through a diagnosis. And like I said to you, there are situations where we've had that the resource that's specifically positioned for a specific role is incapable of heading that department. In some cases, we have had situations where an organization lacks an entire department, whereby you have a great sales team, a great marketing strategy, but at the end of the day, you lack the customer conversion team. You know, we call them client relations managers. Those are the ones that actually turn that customer from, increasing the depth of use of products from, say, for example, product level number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So all of the things that we do, we go through a full diagnostic process. In today's lecture series, I'm going to cover various facets of human resources. I'm going to talk about them from a high level, and then going forward, we're going to have series in which we go into depth with each and every one of these facets, and you can actually follow through and get the tools. Right. Now, as an entrepreneur, one of the things that I have found to be a challenge is that entrepreneurs are awesome. Yeah, they're superstars. We appreciate that. And even organizations themselves are superstars. Even if your organization has been running for 10 years. Okay, so as an entrepreneur, you are a superstar, and that is truly undeniable. But one of the challenges we found with entrepreneurs is that when you started your business, or when the business was starting, in terms of recruitment or the recruitment process, it was usually happening haphazardly because of lack of resources. In some cases, we engage our relatives, friends, and foes to come into our organization because at that start of the business, you don't have a lot of resources for you to attract a certain type of employee or to even engage the services of a qualified human resource specialist. And this to us is where the trouble starts, because at the seed level, if you get it wrong at the very beginning, then you are definitely going to get it right. It's going to be a snowball effect within your organization. One of the things that we have found to be a challenge is that when an entrepreneur hires a resource, they get attached to those resources, and usually the core or the start of the resource does not necessarily match the requirements of the job, especially when the business starts to grow. Okay, so in closing for this conversation, I want you to think about and to understand that we've got several facets when it comes to human resources as an entrepreneur. And human resource, like I say, it is a science. The management of human resources is a science. There is the element of the recruitment. How you recruit your human resource is very important. But before we even go there, the element of you as an entrepreneur thinking about your team, what type of organization do you want to set up? In fact, a successful entrepreneur would tend to want to hire individuals that reflect that vision and mission. And that reflection of vision and mission must be closely aligned to who you are as an entrepreneur. What do I mean by that? Say, for example, you are a fire sign, you are courageous, you are a go-getter, and you're setting up an organization that requires to disrupt the market. You need to hire. Your thought from the very beginning is that your vision and mission with regards to your human resources is that they have to be individuals that are driven, that are disruptors, that love to be part of a bigger picture. You cannot go in and hire individuals who are just interested in safety and security of a job. These individuals are risk evasive, and as a result will become a limitation to your organization, which will be driven a lot by a need of disruption. All right. And say, for example, if you're setting up a business that just requires consistency and diligence, then you would want to attract that kind of resource. I don't know if any one of you can actually think about it every time you go to an organization or you enter into an institution, you can sense the energy that is associated with that institution, right? We've got organizations whereby you walk in, you can tell that this is a high energy organization, this is a serious organization. Say, for example, banks, there are certain organizations that have a certain culture. That culture did not just happen. Someone at the seed level of setting up that business thought about the type of resources that they want. You know, Goldman Sachs employees are completely different from Merrill Lynch employees because the energy, it's all about the energy. But because we are leaving these corporate organizations and going out to form our own businesses, we tend to overlook that as entrepreneurs because we had it given to us. But then as an entrepreneur, once you start building your business at the seed level, you need to sit down and think, ask yourself, what kind of a person am I? Am I a patient person? Am I energetic? What kind of resources do I want to be attached with? Because I have met so many organizations and entrepreneurs who've literally had their business crumble because they are energetic, go-getter, and they surround themselves with risk-evasive, disruptive employees. So that creates a drag. And as a result, as an entrepreneur, as a visionary, you're constantly being dragged back by the employees that you have. Now, I know a lot of people have a fear. You know, there's a thinking that, will I be able to attract? You can only attract that which you have sent out into the universe as an intention. I know it sounds a bit, but that's the truth. You need to sit down and think about it. Why? Because once you think about it, your recruitment, we go to level number 2. So write down the type of employee you want to have, the type of energy you want to have when a person walks into your organization, the feeling that they have. You know, we have so many cases where entrepreneurs are the visionary of the company, and when you experience them, they are just exciting, but when the experience with the rest of the team members is completely off. It's mismatched. That's why we get into situations where entrepreneurs grow their businesses, but they cannot be detached from it. And you have to work long hours. You have to be everywhere to do everything because you cannot trust your resources. They are not reflecting who you are or the vision of your business. And as a result, they cannot draw the business that you are capable of drawing. Remember, a sustainable business means a business that can be replicated and that also can function without you. So one of the key areas where replication and scaling is very difficult is because the entrepreneur has not thought about the type of employees that they are attracted to them. Asking the question, is this person matching who I am? And as an entrepreneur, I always say entrepreneurship is not about you building a castle to protect yourself. On the contrary, entrepreneurship is about getting yourself to be challenged, challenging yourself to the next level, right? So there is what Steve Jobs coined the bozo effect. I'll put a link down where it is heavily discussed. And this is extremely true. I found this to be true as an employee and also as an entrepreneur, right? That if you are a type B, that is a non-achiever or a low-level achieving individuals, you tend to hire individuals that are even less achievers than you. Why? Because you have this obsession of wanting to be the superstar and not to have anyone who is outshining you. Now, as an entrepreneur, it's important for you to recognize that you are now building your own business. It makes sense for you to associate with superstars. You know, great organizations and companies have come about because they have hired individuals that were far much greater than the ones that are recruiting or the ones that are leading. Now, as an entrepreneur, you must not have insecurities. We're going to talk about how to manage that. And I know that for some of us as entrepreneurs, the reason why we tend not to want to attract individuals that could match our energy or that could be as excellent or even better than us is the fear that this individual or resource would steal our business. It is a thing, yeah, stealing your business. I've heard a lot of that. But we're going to talk about that, how to attract these superstar employees, where they are mainly instrumental, and why you need to have them. And then we're going to look at how you're going to keep them, and issues of mitigation of the risks that a lot of people or a lot of entrepreneurs are concerned about. But as an entrepreneur, if you are building a business and you want a business that will scale, that will grow and leverage, that can expand not only to the current office that you have, to regions, countries, and it's scalable, you need to be able to get over the insecurity of hiring top performers. It's important because you need a top performer for you to be able to sustain a great business. A successful entrepreneur hires a resource that, even though you are not there, the experience that your customer has with your resource surpasses or even equals the service level that you would give that particular customer, right? And like I said, it all starts with the vision. The next thing that is very important once we get over our insecurities is to say that we want to attract the best resources that match the organizational culture of vibrancy that you want to build, right? And again, we're going to go through it, the building of an organization culture, and then we are also going to go through the recruitment process. The next level is the recruitment process. And I've got a story to tell you. As an entrepreneur, we always tend to want to hire our friends and families. I've got news. Majority of the entrepreneurs that we've had to consult for, it's fixing that situation. And in most cases, it gets to a point that it cannot be fixed. Situations where, as an entrepreneur, because you did not have a clear vision of your organization, and the next thing is that you don't have a clear organizational structure, because you need, once you have the vision, then you now need to think about the different positions that your organization needs to fill. Again, I'm going to share with you a typical organizational structure that you need to have in place in order for you to have clarity, because once you have a vision, you need to have a structure of how that vision is going to be sustained. And even though you may not be able to fill up all the different positions because you're starting up, you need to have clarity on the roles that each and every person you're bringing into your business is going to be performing. Why? Because you don't want individuals stepping on each other's toes. These are some of the reasons we see businesses collapsing, where an entrepreneur has their aunt, their wife, their girlfriends, their mistresses in the organization, and these resources have no clarity on what exactly they're supposed to be doing. So a general statement such as, oh, you'll be handling the sales, and as the business is happening, there are administration things that need to happen. There are also, like I said, when we're talking about administration, things like cleaning the offices, unboxing things, driving. So you find that they always is a tag of war of who's responsible for doing what. And in most cases, because of lack of that clarity of what the roles and the duties of each individual is, that is where we get a collapse, where we have a situation where the entrepreneur is working so hard because they have the wrong team. And even if they have a host of staff members, there is no one picking up the ball on areas that are more important or that are less glamorous. And because there is no employment contract, there is no job description, you find that becomes very difficult for the entrepreneur to manage, right? So once you put your structure in place, it becomes clear how many people you can recruit. And once you have the clarity of how many people you can recruit, you also now need to apportion the roles and the duties and responsibilities of these people, and to have a clear understanding of what each and every one of those roles are. Right? And these need to be communicated openly to everyone within the organization. Again, as consultants, we've had to come in and resolve a lot of this because, say, for example, you're working with your wife, it becomes very difficult for you as an entrepreneur to communicate the duties that your wife is required to pursue, right? And in some cases, we then have fights going on and things are actually falling apart. Why? Because maybe the MD, the wife, of the entrepreneur feels that a particular duty is not something that they should be doing. Or in some cases, you get resources that come in and they feel that they are not obligated to doing certain tasks, right? Once we've got clarity on the roles and the duties that we are supposed to have, the one thing is bringing in the right resources. It's important to make this bringing in of the resources competitive. Again, we're going to talk about the right recruitment process that one has to follow. Now, it is strongly not advised. I know we do set up businesses. Most of us set up businesses with a deep desire to help out our families, friends, relatives, girlfriends, mistresses. But I can safely conclude and tell you that with past experience, and this has been proven consistently over and over and over, that hiring your mistress to work for you in your business is totally a wrong idea, especially if you do not have an in-house human resource and you are not you don't have policies and procedures, and you are an entrepreneur. Why? Because you are now you are now creating a gray area within your business, and it becomes very difficult to manage. Again, Tavetos is going to be running a whole host of real management. What is management all about? And if you follow with us, we will take you through the various management processes, and you will find that when you need to engage employees, you need to have a disciplinary hearing. It's very difficult when you have an emotional connection with that particular person, and a lot of things can actually go wrong. So if you're serious about building a business, you need to separate those two. I would strongly suggest that there is separation. As consultants, we have seen businesses collapse, amazing businesses, whereby individuals have hired best friends, they've hired mistresses, they've also hired their wives, and now all the personal work is taken to work, and there is an inability to separate between what needs to be done and the work at hand. Okay, so we're going to really talk about that. As an entrepreneur, if you're serious about helping your relatives, friends, girlfriends, and mistresses, it's important that you actually separate that from business. You need to have a sustainable business where revenue is being generated. And once revenue is being generated, you can take that money and help them out rather than bringing them into business, because that is always a cocktail of disaster. Now that we've put the structure in place and we understand the roles and responsibility, and we understand how many resources we can actively afford to hire and pay them very well, then we now have to have a job description. We need to describe what is the job, the roles that these individuals are supposed to. In the job description, we're going to look at hierarchical issues. We're going to look at how you escalate issues, who is the person you respond to. And that is very important, regardless of the fact that these may be 4 or 5 resources within your organization. Because I can tell you, if you have 4 or 5 resources running in the opposite direction, your business is definitely doomed to fail. We've also got in that, we're going to talk about retention strategies. You know, there are some resources that are excellent, that they are a resource. If you've done everything correctly from the very beginning, you would want to retain these resources. And there's so many strategies that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about share options. We're going to talk about commissions, bonuses, and how to structure these salaries. Over and above that, we're going to go into, once we've completed that whole entire process, we're going to look at dismissal. There are some resources that we need to really dismiss. And we are also going to look at collaborations, building collaborations. So in a nutshell, today in this series, what we learned is that as an entrepreneur, what's very important is for you to look at who you are. What are your resources? What are the type of resources that you want to be attached to your organization? Is it an energetic team? Is it going to be a team that is driven? Is it going to be a calm team? Do you want it to be very precise and excellent, right? So as for this particular series, your assignment as an entrepreneur is for you to sit down and ask, who are you? I've put a link onto the personality. You need to do your personality test. It will also tell you who you are as a resource, as a manager, as a colleague, and as a boss. And that is also very important. And then once you've done that, you set down your vision for your organization, for your employees. What is the vision for the employees I have? Do I want a sexy, intelligent, hardworking team? Do I want a calm, intelligent, sophisticated team? You need to write that down. Once you have written that down, we're going to go into the next level. And again, to recap, once you've done your vision and mission, remember there is also the building of your organizational structure, the structure that is going to be there. Once you've determined that, you need to look at the roles and the responsibilities, and then to look at how much do you need to pay so that you determine how many resources can you actively afford. And then from there, we're going to look at, once you've got the resources, your job description, your retention strategy, and for those that need to be dismissed, how are we going to handle that? With that having been said, I just want you to have a great time and know that entrepreneurship is about building organizations that last for a generation. And when we are talking about building a generation, it's about laying a foundation, and the foundation is not laid in a day. Rome is not built in a day. But if you're serious about building your business, follow us on our human resource series, where by the time we are done with the complete series, you would entirely have an entire new team, knowing how you're running your organization, and then knowing how you're going to be managing in that. With that having been said, have a lovely day. Thank you. Bye-bye.